And that's been a concern of mine because, one thing that concerns me is that the churches that I have tried, and I've been in search for a church, is they all want to talk about why you should be saved. But if you're already saved, they don't explain how then shall we live, to paraphrase the title of Francis Schaeffer's book.
Right.
And they seem to have been clipped of their strength, and you hear about pastors in Scandinavian countries or in Canada that are prosecuted for speaking out against homosexual behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And have you seen that as a problem in the United States, where pastors are not speaking forcefully enough on how then shall we live?
Yes, they're afraid. They don't realize that the tax exemption for churches is not statutory. It's constitutional, and it's rooted in a chapter of the Old Testament, Ezra 7:23 and 24. Is the case where Artaxerxes essentially says there shall be no impounds or taxes on the house of God, because why should there be wrath on the king and his realm? In other words, if I tax God and his church, then God is going to destroy my country for trying to tax God. And this is the foundation of modern tax exemptions. But Christians have been cowed into thinking that they have to shut up from the pulpit and be muzzled by the state. This occurred in Germany under Hitler, and we've adopted that same point of view.
And I think that's a large part of why we have not had any religious discussion about the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's what we're going to discuss when we come back, is we're going to discuss what is just war, and does God's law permit preemptive war? So I hope everybody will join me when I come back with my guest, Martin Selbrede.
Are you a business owner? Do you accept credit cards? How would you like to be rewarded for every Visa and MasterCard sale your business makes? Sounds too good to be true? Now, instead of credit card transactions costing you money, reward payment systems can reward you for every Visa and MasterCard sale your business makes, with reward points redeemable for plane tickets, hotel rooms, plasma TVs, gift cards at national retailers, and much more. That's right. Every single Visa and MasterCard transaction your business processes each month will earn you valuable points you can redeem for great gifts. Best of all, there's no additional charge for you to start earning reward points. Find out how easy it is for your business to start earning reward points. Call Reward Payment System at 877-676-1467. That's 877-676-1467. That's 877-676-1467. 877-676-1467.
When was the last time someone offered you a second chance to save thousands of dollars? Maybe never, until now. If you owe the IRS or state at least $10,000, American Tax Relief is offering you a second chance to eliminate up to 83% of your delinquent taxes. Thousands of honest, hardworking Americans, just like you, have turned to American Tax Relief for the help they need. Look, your tax problem isn't going to go away. As a matter of fact, it's only going to get worse unless you get help. You wouldn't go to court without a lawyer. Now you have qualified help in dealing with the IRS. This is the second chance you've never had before to save up to 83% on the taxes you owe. Get the second chance you deserve and save up to 83% on your delinquent taxes. Call American Tax Relief for a free consultation to see how much money they can save you. 800-951-2341. That's 800-951-2341. Call for your second chance. 800-951-2341. Do it right now.
Have you ever had a diet fail because you were hungry all the time?
If you have, don't worry. It's not your fault. It's almost impossible to lose weight if you're always hungry. Hi, I'm Scott Johnson.
And I'm Steve Bostic. We're the creators of Right Size Smoothies. The secret is a cutting-edge appetite manager called Apamine.
It's in the smoothie. You drink the smoothie, it knocks out your appetite, it helps you burn more calories than you take in safely and without being hungry.
And that's what leads to weight loss. I just talked to someone who ordered Right Size. Her name is Ann, and she's already lost 17 pounds.
Because it's such a great product, we're going to do something crazy here. We're going to let you try Right Size Smoothies free for 2 full weeks.
Just call within the next 15 minutes, and our operators are going to tell you how you can try our smoothies free. See how it works for you, and either you lose the weight or you'll never pay for them.
For your free trial of Right Size, call 800-930-8397. 800-930-8397. 800-930-8397.
Hello, it's Jerry Ward back with my guest Martin Selbrede, the vice president of the Chalcedon Foundation. And Martin, first of all, before we get into the rest of our discussion, why don't you let the folks know where they can go look at your writings and the other materials at the Chalcedon Foundation?
Sure. The website would be www.chalcedon, spelled CHALCEDON.edu. And everything is posted there, and all the books and the material that the Foundation's been producing for the last 43 years are accessible through the website.
And it's a great website. I recommend everybody go read that website. Let's get back to what we were talking about, which is I wanted to talk to you about the war, the Great War on Terror. Yes. And first of all, I think that it would be important for you to discuss what is this concept of just war, because I heard a lot of explanations and apologetics based on just war from the very beginning of this Great War on Terror, but never from a learned man like you. So why don't you explain that?
Yeah, the premise of a just war is that the scriptures in particular, where we would find the biblical morality, would provide for a level of national self-defense. And the question is, what are the detailed conditions under which that defense can be mounted? Traditionally, it was that there was a concrete act of invasion or aggression against your nation, and that you had a very concrete way to defend yourself against it and thwart the attack. And a just war would be based on passages in Deuteronomy and Leviticus that require that we not become bystanders, that the civil government is responsible to protect its citizens who are under direct attack. The point here is that there was always a concrete act. In fact, the Bible always says that you cannot even operate a legal thing like against a crime unless there's a concrete act that was observed by adequate witnesses, for example. Say a murder, for example. You couldn't execute someone for being a murderer unless it was an actual murder that occurred that was properly witnessed and testified to, that the rules of evidence applied to. The same thing was true for an act of war. Act of war actually had to be a concrete act of invasion or other literal incursion. What has changed in the meantime is the notion that, well, we think they might launch an attack on us, therefore we're going to preemptively go in because of our ideas about their disposition or intentions. The Bible does not allow you to go ahead and nail someone for what you think they might do, which is a matter of how good your intelligence is, which has been horrid in America's case. That means that innocent people are going to suffer. And the whole point of the sword that the civil magistrate, that is the civil government, wields in the one passage in the New Testament that deals with this, Romans 13, is that it is to protect the innocent and only be a terror to those who do evil. This is where George Bush has kind of gotten us off track. He says we're going to go after evildoers and treats evildoer as a mental category of those who wish us harm. That's not countenanced in this passage in Romans 13. It says those who are doing actual evil. Now, there is an avenger for wrath to him who is doing that which is evil. A concrete act has to be occurring. Not that they hate us or dislike us or resent us or supposedly hate freedom, but that they actually are launching an attack against us and going through our borders to do it. So this is the big mistake, the big error that we have, is that we're moving from the notion of a concrete act, which the Bible always speaks to a mere mental state. And the Bible is very clear. You cannot know the heart of another person. Only God knows it. We can only go by the outward appearances, and so we need to have the clarity of outward actions to act upon. So we've moved from a concrete act to trying to psychoanalyze the enemy and then attack them preemptively based on our intelligence estimate. And this is not countenanced in the Bible one iota.
And one thing I think you wrote in one of your papers is that if someone has evil intent in their heart, it is within God's purview to punish that person. Correct.
Right. In fact, we have a tremendous example in the case of the Old Testament King Josiah, The Bible says he was the greatest king that Israel ever had, greater than Solomon, David, Hezekiah. And he decided at one point to become world policeman. Right by his borders, Egypt, the Pharaoh of Egypt, Necho II, was launching attack on the king of Assyria, swooping right by Israel. And Josiah says, I'm going to go out there and intercept this attack. I'm going to take it under my wing to protect the Assyrians. So he played the world policeman, and he died for it. And the scriptures are very clear that he was culpable for playing world policeman. Paul in 1 Corinthians 10 tells us that everything that happened to the Israel of old were examples unto us to teach us what to do and what not to do. So this is a key example of the errors that are made tactically when we want to play world policeman or root out evil where we think it shouldn't be. We don't have to worry about it.
There is really nothing new in this world. We seem to think that we're special and that everything that's happened to us is something of first impression, and therefore we can react in any way we want. But that's not true.
Not true. We're not. In fact, we simply become a national bully, and then we bring God into the mix as if he's going to rubber stamp our actions because we're very good people. There's a similar incident in 2 Chronicles 24:24 where the Jehoshaphat, he was going up against the Syrians, and Jehoshaphat, the Jewish king, had a much bigger army than the Syrians, but God was not in the action. And therefore, the teeny Syrian host overcame the Jewish host because they had forsaken the God of their fathers. So the scriptures are very clear that where God is, then there's protection and a shield. And where God is honored, he will protect them. We have a beautiful promise in Isaiah 4, verse 5, that upon all the glory, that is, wherever God is being glorified and honored by his word, he defends and covers and protects that nation. That's why the scriptures are very clear that some people trust in chariots, some in horses, that is, military might, but the only nation that's going to stand is the one that trusts in God. In fact, the Bible goes further in Jeremiah 17:5, telling us, cursed is the man who trusts in man, who makes flesh, that is, power and might, his arm, that is his way of dealing with the world. We need to realize that we really rely on God. You can spend trillions of dollars with MX Peacekeeper missiles and tremendous amount of military might and still not protect the country. But if the nation would become godly, it would be protected in amazing ways. And the Bible, particularly the Old Testament, is rife with examples where battles were won strictly by God. Jehoshaphat himself encountered exactly one of these cases. Ezra, he is in Ezra 8:22. It's a fascinating passage. He was going to go return to Jerusalem under the provinces or the auspices of Artaxerxes. And it says that he was actually ashamed. He says, quoting, "For I was ashamed to require of the king a band of soldiers and horsemen to help us against the enemy in the way, because we had spoken unto the king, saying, the hand of our God is upon all them for good that seek him, but his power and his wrath is against all them that forsake him." In other words, he staked his nation on God being a protector and shield round about them. How can he go in good conscience and tell Artaxerxes, by the way, I still need some soldiers to protect me? He either had to stand on principle that God would protect his people and would be faithful to them if they're faithful to him, or he's going to look like a hypocrite calling for a big contingent to protect them on their way back. So he himself was ashamed of the fact that he would have liked to have the contingent, so he stood on principle. But we don't. As a country, we do not. We rather put our trust in the amount of military might that we have, and that becomes a self-fulfilling disaster.
Well, one thing that's concerned me for the past few years is because I am very pro-life. In fact, I'm a pro-life activist. I work with Texas Right to Life and other pro-life organizations. And one thing that's concerned me is to hear how many pro-lifers will say, well, we have to kill them over there so that we don't have to kill them over here, without any kind of recognition that in the act of killing them over there, we're also killing innocent people. And I'm not really sure that God will accept the excuse that they're collateral damage that we did not intend. Do you think he will?
No. If they're innocent, they're innocent. And this is something that has occurred really since the Civil War, where civilian populations were being targeted. That's the whole point of modern war, is that you go after the civilians and make them fodder. And that's what modern man brings in. Whenever the state becomes preeminent in the life of man, then the state's prerogatives rule and tyrannize and enslave us. And the highest values that we have are to preserve the state. And even if that means the state then goes in and invades another state. So it's a dreadful situation caused by a lack of faith, and the people have lost their faith in God. Therefore, they repose their faith in the state. You'll always have a God in your system, and if it's not the true God, it's going to be the power state, because the only other alternative is anarchy. So you either make the state bigger and more powerful, and it's your cradle-to-grave source of security and your sword going against other nations. But yes, there's no question that attacking the innocent is forbidden in Scripture, because the sword given to the state is not to be wielded against the innocent, only against those who are truly guilty. Someone becomes guilty when they break through your borders and attempt to harm your interests and your people and to kill them. You need that concrete act. You cannot just have an intention. The only exception that I can imagine occurs in the book of Esther, and there the attack was ordered, and everyone knew it. It was common knowledge that Israel was going to be attacked, and there was no secret. So, and all the resources had been mounted. So it was a done deal. They had every right to go ahead and preemptively attack. But it was because there was no question, there wasn't even any doubt in anyone's mind. It was publicly acknowledged that an attack was imminent. And that's very, very different.
Yeah, and you, going back to something that you said before when you talked about the Civil War and Sherman's march through the South, his scorched earth policy, and quite frankly, personally, I think that Sherman's burning in hell right now. But even when we do have war that's allowable under Scripture, there are certain steps that have to be taken to protect. Well, you can say it better than me. Well, what are the confines, even within just war, about destruction?
Well, sure. Deuteronomy 20, verses 19 and 20, explains that when a city is being besieged, you're not even able to destroy the fruit trees and use them for siege weapons. In other words, God is protecting all the productive parts of the country. You cannot destroy at will or go to a scorched earth policy. And so God has laws of war that indicate that there's something even more fundamental and important and core principle than the war itself. This is clear because under the Bible, a newlywed man, someone who's married for his first year, is not even allowed to be conscripted for war. So the point is that marriage in the first year is more important than the success in the battle. If a nation observes to protect their newlyweds who are building these new families, then deliverance will be had. But a modern American state, people will get married and be off to war the very next day because the state thinks it's more important and its interests are more important than the family.
Well, they also send women. They also send women with children over there, which I find highly bizarre. I mean, to me, it's bizarre that women are even in situations of combat, but the fact that they send these mothers off with babies, almost newborn babies, to war really shows you that the state has become more important to us than God's law.
Yes. Every time that God is made small, the state becomes big in the lives of the people. And then all of society is ordered in terms of the state's prerogatives, including its will to make war on its own ground. So it reinvents all the doctrines. The Bush Doctrine is a complete reinvention of preemptive war that goes back at least till 1837. And we're not going to be able to recover the truth unless Christians are galvanized to stand by the entire Word of God and apply it, because it's going to take nothing short of the Word of God to overcome the power state and its claims upon us. Otherwise, we will be too weak to even consider resisting these false claims of sovereignty by the United States.
Well, and I think we've really lost something since the Founding Fathers, although it was probably incremental, and the loss began right after the founding of our nation, because they did not want us involved in entangling alliances, because then we get...
For a man or woman concerned about your hair loss, listen up. Follicare, a leading hair growth product, just got even better. Our 94.5% satisfaction rate just wasn't good enough, so we went back to work and created an even better product.
I have tried other products and had no success. I can honestly say that Follicare is head and shoulders above the rest. It's great. If you're balding, I'd recommend this to anybody.
Follicare works so well because it's a unique, patented 4-in-1 product that addresses all the major causes of hair loss, not just one or two. Follicare provides over 50 botanical ingredients and nutrients, plus the only topical solution approved by the FDA to grow hair.
I feel like I'm 18 again with all this hair in my head. I feel good about myself. I'm a much more confident person.
Look better and regain your confidence with Follicare, a proven product with more key ingredients than competitors, yet it costs about half as much. Your satisfaction is completely guaranteed.
Call 800-309-3642. That's 800-309-3642. Again, 800-309-3642.
Did you know you may be qualified for a college scholarship? Listen carefully, because if you're active duty military, in the Guard, the Reserves, a veteran or retired military, you could qualify for a scholarship to Grantham University. Your scholarship includes a significant discount on tuition, all required textbooks and software, and your registration fees. It's your opportunity to earn a college degree from an accredited university. Grantham has been educating the men and women who serve our country for over 50 years. Grantham offers degrees in business administration, engineering, computer science, criminal justice, and many others. And with our online program, you can get your Grantham degree no matter where you're stationed or living. All you need is an internet connection. Call 866-373-3174. That's 866-373-3174. Call right now to find out about your college scholarship. Make the call. 866-373-3174.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There is a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45, non-tobacco user, issued preferred, $1 million of coverage is only $75 per month level for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50, non-tobacco user, issued preferred, can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $113, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, there are great rates available for you as well. Term Busters is a company that specializes in term life insurance. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call us today for a free, no-obligation quote at 1-800-862-TERM. That's 1-800-862-8376. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-800-862-TERM or visit our website, termbusters.com. Rates and availability may vary by state.
Everybody, it's Jerry Ward back for the third segment, and I think we kind of bled into the commercial after that last segment. I hope that y'all got to hear as much as possible because the ending was really interesting, but I'm going to have Martin on again in the future. But now I have my sort of co-host back on. She's on the show almost every time, every other week. It's Alana Mercer. Alana is a classical liberal writer. She writes the popular column Return to Reason, which is published every Friday at worldnetdaily.com. She's also a prolific writer. She's been published by many, many, many media outlets, and she's the author of a book called Broadsides, One Woman's Clash with a Corrupt Culture. And Alana, thanks for coming on the show again.
Hi, Jerry. Good to speak to you again.
Good to speak with you. And I was particularly interested in your last column from last Friday, and it's kind of been the topic for the last week or so. The name of your column was The Goods on Gas. And if everybody's been listening to Right Talk today, the commentators that were on the shows prior to mine, General Vallely and Paul Schiffer, both talked about this topic, and I think Alana has a very interesting, different kind of approach to this issue with the gasoline prices going up. And Alana, are you going to blame the speculators?
No. As usual, you know me, I'm not going to blame them or the profiteers or foreign producers or even Saudi Arabia. I'll put it fair and square with our government. As I say in the Goods on Gas, fuel is fueling but not causing price hikes. The price increase we see is two-pronged, as I see it. There's the component. The first component is the general trend of price increases in There's a steady rise in all prices, all commodities, crude included, and that's generated by deficit spending and inflation. And Henry the Great, Henry Hazlitt, in economics in one lesson, would confirm that the policies of deficit spending are responsible for the steady rise in prices we see. So that's the first component of the so-called elusive rise in gas prices. I mean, it's complete post hoc, reasoning to infer from the rise of fuel prices that indeed is causing, the economic strife in general. It's fueling it. It's not causing it.
Explain post hoc logic, because I had to look it up when I read it in your column.
Well, the idea that events that occur in proximity, there's a causal relationship between them.
So it's basically a fallacy. They're using a fallacy.
Indeed, but it's definitely very beneficial to our statist overlords and to the sycophantic economists who support the state. And conveniently, the Federal Reserve no longer publishes data on the money supply, so inflation is becoming more and more elusive. It's caused by bubbles, and it's caused by fuel increase. And when I encounter such illogical thinking, I just can't understand it.
Well, I have to tell you that I was a delegate at the Texas Republican Convention last week, and Newt Gingrich came in. I can't even pronounce his name, but he came and spoke, and most of his speech was pretty good, but then he started talking about prosecuting the speculators.
Oh, dear.
And I was very disheartened to see all those Republicans who, my fellow Republicans around me, who are supposedly free market and pride themselves in understanding economics better than the Democrats, clap for that.
Well, I think there's another convergence of between the Democrats and Republicans. And the natural laws of economics cannot be suspended by man, not even by Bill O'Reilly. And even though we don't have an unhampered market in oil, and we don't have an unhampered market in anything, the laws of supply and demand still work. And that is the second component of the price increase, and that's supply and demand. Purchasing patterns the world over, and I include China and India, are driven by those of us who compete for the commodity. Competitive bidding raises the price of a commodity. In an unhampered market, what would happen is that oil companies, the established ones, the entrepreneurs, the investors would rush in because they would expect there would be forecasted profits to be made. If Exxon and the others would have been allowed to satisfy consumers, they'd be drilling for oil rather than tinkering with ethanol. Well, and the increase in supply would have brought down prices and eventually profits as well.
So it's a component of the state of our currency and then supply and demand. And the thing about supply and demand, a lot of that is contingent on how many oil refineries we have. And we're totally schizophrenic about wanting, making lip service for energy sufficiency, yet our government hasn't allowed a new refinery to be built in decades.
Absolutely, and energy independence is an idiotic concept. I mean, I thought trade is what we believed in. Trade means that there is such a thing as one's comparative advantage. We do what we are best at and what is cheapest for us to do, and for the rest we trade for the goods that are not viable for us to make. If we made everything, we'd go bang. So energy independence is idiotic. There's nothing wrong with trade. And trading more with those belligerent Middle Easterners would reduce their belligerence. Certainly, and the other component, of course, is the eco-idiots and their accomplices in Congress. For the past 30 years or so, they've outlawed drilling. And what do you expect when you outlaw drilling?
Well, of course, they are trying to deflect the blame from everybody but themselves. And now we've got demagogues in Congress supporting the idea of nationalizing the oil companies or the refineries.
Well, it's very, very worrying to see how much we're moving towards socialism. East Europeans have shed that, and the East Europeans I know are flabbergasted.
Oh, the ones who have shed socialism and are on the path to free markets.
Absolutely.
Well,
and Russia has a flat tax.
And we're going to have to see how strongly the Republicans stand up to this kind of talk in Congress.
It's so confounded, Jerry. It's so confounded with these strange conspiracy theories about the oil companies, which frankly should just, do an Atlas shrug, just walk away and let's see what happens to us then. The conspiracy theories, the quest for oil independence because of terrorism, it's all confounded with illogic.
Well, that's kind of the human condition, isn't it?
Indeed. How positive.
Well, whether you're a Republican or Democrat.
Indeed.
So stay over, Ilana, because I want you to give a preview of the column that you have going out tomorrow. So
okay, dear.
Let's stay tuned for the last segment, and I hope everybody out there will stay tuned. The last segment will be coming right after this hard break, so stay tuned.
Get a free Razr cell phone delivered free to your door. Don't want a free Razr? Then go to letstalk14.com and choose from hundreds of other free phones. Join 500,000 users who found the smartest way to buy their cell phones. Never pay retail again. At letstalk14.com, you can compare prices on phones and service plans from all the major carriers. Find the coolest new phone at the coolest price. Find the best current special offers. Read what folks have to say about their phones and plans. They actually rate and review their phones and service plans so you know which ones to pick. Do it all in the comfort of your own home. If your plan is ending, now's your chance. Try your new phone risk-free for 7 days with free 48-hour shipping. LetsTalk14.com is the only way to get the absolute best deal possible. Right now, get a free Razr after a $50 mail-in rebate. This is an exclusive online offer at LetsTalk14.com. New 2-year service plan agreement required. One-time wireless activation and early termination fees may apply. Go to LetsTalk14.com. That's LetsTalk14.com.
What America needs is affordable health insurance. Finding affordable health insurance for you and your family, it's on everyone's mind right now. If you're self-employed, it's on your mind too. One of the things we face as entrepreneurial Americans is finding affordable health insurance. Well, I found a company you can call right now and get affordable health insurance. Midwest National Life Insurance Company of Tennessee. Write this number down, 877-592-7780. That's 877-592-7780. Midwest specializes in helping entrepreneurs of all kinds, those of us who run small businesses or don't get health insurance where we work, to protect our families with affordable health insurance. Call 877-592-7780. Not available in all states. Association membership is required in most states. Home office, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Exclusions and limitations apply.
Attention, annuity and structured settlement holders. Waiting years for your annuity payments? Now you can break free from a schedule set years ago. You don't have to wait years. Get the money you need now. Call 800-463-4052. Novation Capital has prepared a free DVD to explain how you can get your money when you need it. Call Novation Capital today at 800-463-4052 for your free informational DVD. Take control of your structured settlement or annuity. Lives change. A schedule set years ago may not make sense for you today. Call 800-463-4052. Find out how you can get your money when you need it. Call 800-463-4052 for your free DVD. That's 800-463-4052. Novation Capital. Your money when you need it.
Hello, it's Jerry Ward, and I'm back with Ilana Mercer. And we're back for the very last segment of today's show. And Alana, you have a column coming out tomorrow again at worldnetdaily.com.
I hope so.
Can you give us a preview about what it's going to be about, so that everyone will be excited about going and reading it?
Well, I still have to write it, but it's going to be called Honest Abe's Anguish, and it explores something not many people speak about, and that is it would appear that from the literature he loved most, Abraham Lincoln did express some misgivings about the blood of brothers that he caused to be shed. Very controversial, of course.
Well, yes, but it kind of goes along with what I was just talking about with Martin Selbrede, which is the limitations on war. And, in fact, we discussed Sherman's march through the South.
Mm-hmm.
Is that sort of the same sort of...
Well, I actually link Abraham Lincoln's misgivings, or at least symbolic misgivings, as inferred from the literature he loved, and to the latest expiation, and that is Scott McClellan's saying he was sorry for his part in the carnage in Iraq.
Oh, that should be very
provided
interesting.
I write it, and I will in the next half hour after I get off the phone, it will be up on WorldNet Daily this evening, or listeners can follow the column from my website at ilanamassa.com.
And WorldNet Daily is, I think that URL is like www.wnd.com.
That's right.
Is it? Okay, so everybody can find your column there, and they can also find out about the other books that you've written, or other articles you've written, and the book that you've written at alanamercer.com. Is that right?
Yes, and lovely to talk to you, Jerry. I'll speak to you in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, thanks for being on, Alana, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. I want to thank everybody for being with me today. I think it was an interesting show, and I'm sure it was provocative and sort of made some of you want to call in. And maybe we'll do that on my next show. So join me in 2 weeks for I Object, Justice Examined.